Okay, so I thought we'd have a talk about Volume 1 of Brzrkr. This is the comic book that got a lot of attention because it was co-authored by Keanu Reeves of The Matrix and John Wick fame, amongst other things. This is a book I thought, do you know what, I'm not going to bother with single issues, I'm going to skip all the hype, and I picked it up when it was in trade format because I was curious. Now, this is very much a sort of proof of concept, trial run, draft version of a film that I imagine, if it hasn't already been, will soon be optioned. But it did start on Kickstarter. You follow this guy called Unut, maybe pronouncing that wrong, as you see him in the first issue with a special ops team. He jumps out of the plane, reminiscent of the Ultimates, where you see Steve Rogers, Captain America, jump out of the plane with that parachute, although you don't get the cool line of parachutes are for wimps in it. And he just starts absolutely obliterating anyone he comes into contact with. And by that I mean he punches them, he rips them apart, he takes shots without seeming to be injured, so as to slow him down. There are all of these really cool moves, like in here he punches into someone's chest, pulls out their rib, and then stabs someone else in the chest with it. He's looking for someone, they're not there, they're at the airport, jumps out the window, and you get a further action sequence where he gets his nose blown off, he blows himself up, his hands all mangled, and then he eventually gets to the person he's looking for. He's told to take him alive, and he loses his shit, and you see he's absolutely destroyed. So it's a great action sequence leading into this, and it is a good action sequence. It's fun. It reminds me of Garth Ennis Punisher stuff, and it's totally bonkers. He's back at a lab. There's stuff I'll skip over here because I don't want to spoil some of the plot beats. But you find out that he's been interviewed, monitored by a psychiatrist. They're referring to various protocols. I'm not sure what those are for. I think they're to control his rages, because he's got murderous rage. And then you find out his backstory, and it turns out he's a sort of prehistoric man born 80,000 years ago, somewhat like Vandal Savage actually, and for reasons I will skip over in this, again to save spoiling the plot. He is an immortal warrior. He's got a bloodlust. He was the protector of his village. There's discussion as to whether or not this was due to the way he was raised, whether it's something inherent in him. And you see him going through these prehistoric times and defending his village, and how his personality is being developed. Now, I'm being purposely vague with my language as I don't want to spoil it, but you can see here it's very graphic what goes on. And there are various tensions in the relationships in his family. I was really taken aback by how much I enjoyed this book. Much like the Robert Kirkman Firepower series, I thought it was going to be a bit crap, and it just wasn't. It's something I really enjoyed reading. I immediately wanted to know where the story was going to go when it got to the to be continued bit at the end of the first trade, and I can't wait for the next trade to come out. I'm not going to buy it in single issue because I think this read great as a trade paperback or graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, and I think as single issues it probably loses a little bit of something pacing wise. I hope to God they either have a plan for finishing the story off, or don't just leave it open-ended if it doesn't get funded or re-upped, but I think it has been, and I can see why this was a book that got a lot of hype, and it was very popular at the time. It's a good mix of that Conan-like stuff I enjoy, with a good sci-fi element to it, and lots of action and mindless gore and violence in only the best way possible. Let me know what you think about this. I definitely recommend getting it if you're a fan of that kind of stuff and you want a fun read. Please give us a thumbs up, it does help. And I've got some omnibus reviews coming up once I can get the time to film them. And thanks for watching.